Okay. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. Test, test, test. Okay, seems to be working. Okay, seems to be working. Susie, no. Bad kitty. Susie. So, hi everyone, welcome. Started the stream, hope you're all well. Just rechecking the sound and video. So, hi everyone. Okay, still good. I always panic about this stuff because people sometimes don't tell me that my sound is off, so because they're watching without their sound turned on. I know a lot of you watch me while you're on the bus or things like that, and just find it relaxing to see how I make the art. And thank you for all of your support. It's easier for me to talk and draw than to talk and type. Hi, hello. So Control H turns on and off grids and other things like that. So I guess we can start with the flowers. And here I have a reference image. Kind of trying to figure out how I'm gonna do this. And honestly, I think I can just delete that layer because I have it backed up in another file. I don't want this one to get too big because Photoshop does have a 2 GB limit. And so if the file size gets too big, I won't be able to save my project. So that's fun. Panicum, I think it's what it's called. You know what? I'm gonna reset my tool. Oh my gosh. I can't believe this is happening to me. So I've changed the pressure setting on my mouse a while ago, and it's affecting my ability to draw, which I didn't expect that to happen, let alone this quickly. I'm just not able to, like, I have Parkinson's. What the heck? This has never happened to me before. This is so weird. Okay, I'm starting to remember how to draw. But oh my gosh, is this weird or what? I didn't even know this was like a possibility of something that could happen to you. Did you just get so used to your tablet working one way and then having it work differently and throwing you off like this? So resetting the tool again, I want a hard pen like brush, and I'm gonna start drawing them in a more of a perspective way. And just kind of have to slowly and patiently just draw every flower. For me, it's very relaxing and pleasant to do this. I can see it being very tedious for some people. It's just, you know, depends what you like to draw. Some people are very good at drawing human faces. I just never seem to get them right, and it's just a source of frustration for me, so I just kind of give up on doing it. And you're just kind of drawing the volume of each of these. Kind of decided on the shape and how it's gonna be. And then I just draw that. It's kind of hard to see how it's gonna look good later on, and it can definitely be discouraging if you kind of don't know what direction you're going in. So I can definitely see it being a challenge, and that's kind of how I feel about drawing human faces. I can't seem to strike a good balance between the cartoonish style that I want, and then I also want it to be somewhat realistic, so then I just kind of end up not doing either well. It's just flip-flop between the versions that I want. And I'm just kind of learning how to do this. I've never drawn lilac before, so I'm kind of trying to get to the version that kind of seems to be there. So you kind of look closely, it has like a darker streak on the inside and then like a white tip. This happens in a lot of plants. The tips are kind of going to be a bit lighter, which is kind of counterintuitive when you're working with line art. On average, line art is darker. And also it's also very good to constantly just go back to the reference image and just kind of look at that. And what you can do is make it a smart object and then open it in a new window, and then just pop that window out, and now you're gonna have it hovering above. So let me see if I have a window capture. Let's see, display capture. Yep. For some reason it's very light in color, but you get the idea. I have the window overlapping, and now I'm just kind of turning it off so you guys can see better what I'm doing. So now that I have that in a corner and constantly looking at it, and of course, because it's summer, I have a very annoying, what do you call it? Fly just hovering around, making my life miserable. Don't be afraid to use the eraser just to get the sharper edges you wanted. Don't lose the definition if that's something you're interested in. And it is kind of going like darker here, and then having the light part. And I just go and erase the extra at this stage because it's just easier. And you do kind of need like a thin layer of dark in the back just to kind of make the contrast and make the flower pop out. And just keep building from that. So otherwise, hope you're all well. This is the second of the 3 illustrations I will be making for Keirani. She's part of Mana Up. They're like a little organization that promotes indie artists and just community building and things like that. They're mostly for gaming, but they do projects for small artists as well. You can find the link to them on Twitter and in my server in case you're interested in having help promoting your project. You can message them, see what they're about, what you're looking for at this time. The one of the founders that I collaborate with most, Keirani, she is a seamstress, so she is an artist as well. What else I had to talk to you guys? My cat sneezed all over my list of things I wanted to talk to you. So I do have a new little cat. And it seems every time he purrs, he gets full of boogers, and then he just sneezes them out wherever he feels like it at that time. And that's what happened to my list. It was covered in kitten snot, and I threw it away. And I thought I was gonna do a new one, but I forgot. So trying to remember what topics you guys wanted to talk about, because I did some Q&As before, so I guess it's always a good idea to talk about future plans. So I plan to do more tutorial videos, according to what you guys have asked me. There are a lot of things that I've been asked to do, so it's always helpful, you know, to get reminders or just, you know, repeat something. If you've seen I haven't gotten around to doing the tutorial, I might just have completely forgotten. I promise to do it. I know there have been some more pixel art tutorials I've gotten asked to do. I do have some already done in my tutorial list, so if you don't know that I do have some tutorials, you can check them out there. Also, I'm gonna do a tutorial about the most frequently asked questions for our More New Fish mod. So that's something I'm gonna do. Since I often do get a lot of questions regarding that. Otherwise, hope you having a good summer. I saw Marvel put out Thor Ragnarok. That seems kind of fun. I've watched it. I'm not gonna give you any spoilers, don't worry. I usually don't cover big films on my channel, just because I think like everybody does, so I don't know if I should do it as well. I try and do more obscure films, just because that's the kind of stuff I want to see. People often say, oh, you know, films are not as interesting, or there's not interesting stuff in the cinema anymore, blah blah blah, Marvel has taken over everything. So I kind of don't want to give more space to those high profile films, even though probably I'd do better for my channel. So I do for smaller indie films, and hopefully they get bigger audience. You've seen my series on it, kind of what animations I recommend. Like, I guess you can call them hidden gems, although they were very popular at the time, and especially in their country. Although for example, the films from Cartoon Saloon, from it is an Irish animation studio. I've met Irish people that had no idea that the studio existed, and I was like, it's such a big deal. It won so many prizes, their films, that like I don't know if I should even call it an indie gem. It's kind of pretty big, but I don't know. I guess it's not as big as I think it is. So maybe I should do more to showcase them. I don't know. I am working on a video about the Fort Salem Motherland TV show on Freeform. Technically it's owned by Disney. I couldn't believe that Disney had this property, because it's about witchcraft and war and kind of a lot of things that you don't see on Disney. I guess that's why it's on Freeform, which is owned by Disney, so they can, like, how many people know this, right? So they can support things that they can't outright promote, which I think is very interesting. that they have their hand in that cookie jar. I kind of made these flowers on top a bit too big. I'm gonna have to shrink them down, so that's what I'm gonna do. It's still at a stage where I can like edit stuff around, I guess, without it being too much of an issue. And reset my brush again, just so I can fill in those blanks. Another show news, I saw Game of Thrones' successor show, House of the Dragon, is out, so that's really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I enjoyed Game of Thrones so much. Definitely glad that they promised less nudity and violence. I don't know if I'll be able to see it as Game of Thrones without it. Like, it's not HBO unless there's like a lot of nudity and violence. For example, Chernobyl, the acclaimed show, had a lot of that, and everybody was joking like, oh yeah, it's an HBO series, of course we're gonna see that. They managed to include it somehow. Nobody thought you were gonna see that in a show about the Chernobyl disaster, which hopefully will not repeat itself. Just got some news about the Zaporozhye power plant, so I'm kind of stressed about that. I am living in Romania, so like we're bordering Ukraine at the moment. Hopefully it will not change to bordering Russia again. So that was a thing that happened. You know what? I'm just gonna take this here. There we go. And like I'm seriously thinking if I shouldn't like make it each on its own kind of bloom like I did for the other one. I just kind of feel like I will have more control. Or if I should go like the more abstract version. I think that if I'm going into too much detail, like in the photo, it's gonna be too much. And let's see, Lilac Leaf. So what I'm thinking of doing is drawing a leaf. Does it look like it? Maybe it needs to be a bit fatter. So Control Z to undo. Now it seems to be symmetrical. Oh no, it starts being stepped. So something like that. And the way I can do this is go behind it and just fill in the gaps. And let's blend it a bit. Oops. Yeah, so that's gonna be the leaves. another leaf I want to make. Let's see. So these other leaves, let's see. I should probably enlarge this just so I have more stuff to work with. It just makes it easier to kind of see and do stuff. Oh, I'm drawing with white. So I'm probably gonna change the color of these just so it matches more. But at the moment, I'm kind of interested in just doing the leaves. So I'm gonna try and make it like plumpy and heart-shaped, just because that's how I did the other ones. Something like that, I guess. So I'm not too concerned with making it exactly like there. I'm actually trying to make it more compact. And make it more fantastical. Like you can see, I'm going for more heart-shaped than it actually is in reality. And I'm going with the top leaves, top layers. I'm trying to kind of do a bit of the overlap, but not too much. I'm trying not to make the image confusing as to what is the order of it, the leaves. And just erase that extra there. There you go. You know what? I think I'm just not gonna do the last leaves. Although I kind of have this little empty space here. And I kind of want to do one of those little small leaves. Just because I like how whimsical and random the small leaves are. And again, going behind the layer. But first, I'm just gonna fill in the shapes that are closed. It's just gonna be less work. That one's not closed. There we go. Close it now. Not closed. Closing. Where are you still open? Uh-huh. There's also this new channel I found that discusses paintings, and I think it's really interesting. It's very old historical paintings, and some are well-known artists like Vermeer and Rembrandt, while others are more obscure or forgotten great artists. And I'm super glad that there are channels doing this, because there were some artists that I had no idea about, or maybe I had heard about them but like completely forgotten. I did not do art school, I did film school, so I'm way more into films than necessarily what I'm doing with my life. It just pays better. There are more clients for it. Not everybody's gonna buy a film from you, but just kind of everybody needs some art in their lives. Either it's a painting on their wall, a cover for their channel, logo for their company. There's just way more demand for it. And I'm kind of glad that I found a way to do what I enjoy. It's not something that everybody can say, so I do consider myself lucky in the choices that I was able to make. At a funeral a while ago, I did meet some people that I hadn't seen in a long while. Some had kids or acquaintances that, you know, wanted to do more artistic jobs as well, but didn't really pay the rent, so they kind of had to give up on that, and it's too bad. It would be great if more people could afford architects, for example. It's definitely cheaper to do a house without one. Just buy a already made plan for a terribly boring and ugly house. That you know where all the plumbing is gonna go, and it's way simpler, I guess, for the people that have to build the house as well. And there's nothing new if they've done that house a bajillion times before. You definitely work out the issues. I do get a lot of videos in my feed about prefabricated homes, and some of them are very appealing, I have to admit. Of course, the original prefabricated homes were communist buildings. Here in East Europe, it's full of them, so I guess for us it has more of a negative connotation, but they are everywhere. They are considered nice, some of them. Not the communist buildings, the prefabricated homes. Hey Kirani, how's it going? Working on the illustration. Oh, a terrible sneeze came over me, had to cut the audio. See if you heard any pops and stuff like that, it's because I cut the audio quickly. Yeah, I mean, I should probably post more often that I'm doing these live streams, but I don't know, I just don't want to feel like I'm harassing people, like, hey, come watch my stream, come watch my stream. I don't know, I guess I should post more. I'd be like, hey you, over there, come join the stream. Because I know I had trouble catching your streams as well. I'm like doing 1,000 other things. And it just, poof, it goes out of my brain. So I don't know, maybe I should be like more on top of it. I thought, you know, well, I posted on Twitter and I posted on Discord and on Facebook, and it's like, oh, you know, I posted everywhere, it's enough. And I posted twice, like announcing that it's gonna be today, and then what is it called, and now I'm putting like an announcement 2 hours before. Yeah. I don't know, maybe I should try the Facebook Live thing, who knows. But I don't know, like if I should put it on my page, because every time I post anything on Facebook on my page, I lose followers, so I'm like, why do I even use Facebook anymore and Instagram. They're so terrible. Yeah, I really dislike, because unless you pay them, they're very scummy. And even if you pay them, like, I think it's very sad for people that did pay them and they didn't notify and they didn't do any of the stuff that they promised they would do. Like reach people and announce that you've posted something. Yeah, it's very annoying. Like now, Facebook keeps putting very annoying spammy stuff in my feed that I don't care about, and like stuff that's trending in Romania with, oh, you know, women are like this and they hit you with a frying pan, or you gotta respect women, or like whatever, you know. They keep trying, because I don't think they know what gender I am on Facebook, so they just give me both sides. I don't know. Or are they trying the feminist approach, woke approach, or are they trying the sexist approach because they don't know if I'm leftist or righty? I don't know. And they just try everything. Or they're trying the annoyance route, and then the I give you what you want route, and just see what I click on. I don't know. I mean, I understand the need for advertising. They gotta get the money from somewhere. But they're just so bad at it. YouTube is way better at it. Their algorithms. I mean, at some point there was some talk about companies needing to disclose their secret sauce algorithms to the European government if they want to continue working in Europe, within the European Union. And they were like, no, it's our secret sauce, we don't want to share. And I was thinking, well, the secret sauce for Facebook is so bad. Who would want it? I don't know. Maybe I guess you would find some takers. But I would say it's very crappy. I missed two. I'm so sad they're gone. I think that was such a great platform. Yeah, I know. I feel like YouTube takes into account what I tell it more than Facebook. Like, I tell YouTube, I'm not interested in this clickbaity stuff. Like, there's a topic that I'm not interested in. I tell them I don't care, and then they try two more times, and then they leave me alone, usually with that topic, and they try and feed me something else. And I think that's fine, which is not something that happens on Facebook. Like, they keep trying to push the same thing, and I keep telling them I'm not interested, I'm not interested, I'm not interested. And then I stopped trying to report or to say, hey, you know, because you have the option to kind of manage the feed, so. But if they're not interested in my feedback, I'm not interested in their platform, and just stop using it. And it's very annoying, because maybe I want to see what you guys are posting. I'm kind of sad that, you know, the original two never took off properly. I kind of really wished it didn't go bankrupt. I'm not sure what went wrong. Like, I feel that they wanted growth too quickly. Like, they treated too like a get-rich-quick scheme. And I think too just didn't have the financial backing of a major corporation to just keep pumping money into something that's not profitable, which is what Google did for many years with Hangouts. Like, they kept insisting on Hangouts and it was never good. So, but they kept pushing it. Hangouts was a lot more years than 2, I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, second 2 was a heartbreaking disappointment for me. Cause it was bought by terrible people that was just using inflammatory content to just get ahead, and it was just like a even crappier version of Facebook, which was a major disappointment. And just giving a platform to people that shouldn't be given one, especially in a pandemic time. Like, you're endangering people's health with quacky cures instead of telling people that they should go to the hospital. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm not thrilled about the hospitals in Romania. They're not great. They're really scammy, but you're gonna do more good than fake cures. I don't see what the point would be for us to do that. We have nowhere near the expertise, connections, or financial ability to do anything that's gonna be viable long term. So I wouldn't bother doing that. I mean, you can see with all the people that have gathered over at Nebula, and still they're struggling, and they have every possible thing that they could need, except more people interested in what they want to share. And curiosity as well is not doing great, but they're hanging in there. I do plan on getting a curiosity subscription, by the way. I follow a channel called Not Just Bikes, and it's about urban planning, but it's mostly focused around bicycles, because you know me, I'm into bikes. I just love it. And he's offering some content only on curiosity. Also, Niels deGrasse Tyson is there, so I'm thinking of getting the subscription, and it's only like $15 a year for curiosity, so it's not even much. I just keep saying I'll do it and I just never do because I'm lazy for a long while. Yeah, it seems like really awesome. I just have to remember to do it. I remember when I'm on the toilet, or when I'm doing the dishes, or when I'm doing anything else than being available to do that. And then when I come back to sit at my desk, I'm like, okay, what did I plan to do today? And it's just completely out of my head by the time I get to my desk. Yeah, I don't know if he's... I think I kind of outgrew him. Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm thinking like the extra content from what I say? Not Just Bikes. Not Just Bikes is actually a Canadian dude. He is from, I think, London is called the town he's from. I forget in which part of Canada he is, but it's probably not in Quebec if the town is named London. And he now lives in Netherlands and talks about urban planning and things like that. So there are a lot of things I would want to see. Ontario. Yeah, I think he mentioned Ontario, but like again, if it's not something I'm familiar with, it just escapes my brain. Like I'm trying to remember all of these Ukrainian towns that keep popping up in the news just because I'm following what's happening because it's so close to me. And it's like all of them seem to end in Iv because I guess Iv is like Burg. And you have Hamburg and Furt for Frankfurt and blah blah blah, and you have Shire thingy in the UK, and I guess Eve is like the Ukrainian version of that. And it's getting really confusing sometimes. Chernihiv, Kharkiv, Lviv, Kiev. Yeah, well, you don't really get much Canadian geography because, like, you you guys rarely show up in the news. Like for me, Serbia keeps popping up in the news either because I guess I click on it or because they know we're bordering it. So they're like, "Hey, you're Romanian. You might want to know what these bozos are up to." Well, you're always welcome to come to Romania. We have good food and some castles you can look at. It's definitely not France or Germany, but we do have enough castles for one visit for you to see, for it to impress you, but any more than that, and you're gonna start to see it was never a big power, it was just a colony. You can tell the difference, like the wealth distribution and such. And we still have a bit of wilderness. I mean, you should probably visit before it disappears completely. We are losing forests on major scale. There's this channel I follow, it's called Mossy Earth. And they do restoration, what do you call it? Restoration projects, I guess. I was gonna say events, but I guess it's a project. And they did one in the Danube. So if it's something you're interested in, I can give you the link. Yeah, it is difficult. Like we would have wanted to visit more this year, but it's just been financially devastating for us. mean, maybe I'm exaggerating, but it was... Because from devastation, I guess you don't return, but we're kind of slowly hoping we will be better. It's been very crappy. I can't wait for this time to be over. Anyway, and yeah, Mossy Earth I was talking about. Let me give you the link, I guess. Just a second. YouTube, Mossy Earth, Danube. I think this is it. Yeah. Groceries. I mean, I hear it's even worse in the UK, so at least we can still afford food. I don't know if we'll afford heating this winter. I just don't even want to think about it because it's not something that we can control or plan for or do anything about it. Because like we don't have our own separate house that we can put solar panels on or whatever, which I don't know how you even heat your house in the winter with that, or windmill in our backyard. I don't think it's even legal to do that, so I don't know what we're gonna do. It's gonna be fun finding out, I guess. Yeah, the companies are doing that. Every time there's something going wrong, they're like, oh, we need to increase the prices. And then when things are good, they just never go down and just stay up. And it's very annoying. Yeah, I have no idea what we're gonna do. Well, you know, usually when there are things like this, I say, oh, you know, at least we have our health. But now my husband may need a knee surgery, so I guess I can't say that because we don't have our health. Fundraiser. I don't think anybody's gonna give me anything, so I don't think there's a point to doing that. I have my coffee opened. There are not many takers. At least I get to work online. I don't have to waste 4 hours in traffic every day to go to work like some other poor souls do. So at least there's that. I can work from home. But art isn't as important as other jobs, so if um, people aren't doing well financially, companies they can afford to postpone the next time they need a logo or a painting or anything like that, so it's kind of how it goes. Um, I don't know if she can afford Romanians. Like you can get cheaper prices if you hire a Venezuelan or something like that. So that's why I prefer to use stuff like Fiverr or other websites. Since I mostly looking for Americans or Canadians because they usually can afford to pay someone from the second world. Because, for example, here in Romania, minimum wage to barely survive is like $500 a month, and I think that's kind of like $7 per hour of work, something like that. So someone in Romania can't really go significantly lower than that because then they're just losing money on the electricity and the supplies they're using to make the art. Yeah, sure, we can discuss it in the private, more details as to what she's looking for. That's good. You can like give me a link and like let me see what kind of stuff she does, if it's something that I can help her with. Because like I usually avoid religious topics. And like, for example, I got an offer to do a comic book with Indian deities, but the customer, he was American and not of the ethnicity that he was trying to portray, and I'm like, I don't want to get harassed by a billion Indians that are angry at me with something, because they do tend to swarm and mob like the Chinese, so I just don't want to get into that. Cooking channel. Oh, that's nice. Sounds fairly safe. Although these days you never know. Fortunately, I'm a very obscure channel, so there are not a lot of people that can get offended by me. But I feel like on the internet, anything you say, like, oh, you say that this ethnicity are human or that ethnicity are human, and it can be very controversial. Yeah, that's nice. Kind of slow reaction, I guess, on the publisher side, or is that normal? Like years after to like your publisher to talk to you. Like I have gotten some interests in my book, but it just seemed like they were only scams, unfortunately. They were like, "Oh, we're so interested in your book, Hisame. Blah blah blah. Join our website. We'll promote you, tra la la." And the payout was like $200, so I would have to sell a lot of books to get to $200. And I would have to do all of the advertising for them, not them. So I'm like, why should I give you part of the sales if you're not doing any work? So I make the book, I gotta promote it, I gotta work for you guys. Screw you. And some other sketchy publishing houses in what do you call it, in Italy. Like honestly, you do a lot better online just doing it, the promotion and the selling yourself. It would definitely be nice if any publisher would be interested in my stuff, but they don't seem to be, because it doesn't have enough of a commercial appeal. And honestly, if you have enough commercial appeal, like why do you need them? And like this stuff has been an issue a long time in music, far longer than any other field, I would say. Do you know Rick Beato? He's very popular. I'm sure you've heard of his name. Rick Beato. No, I've never used those websites. And Rick Beato talks about issues like the ones we are, but in music industry. And apparently, even if you're a famous singer, songwriter, whatever, unless you go viral on TikTok, they will not be interested in you, and you kind of have to do that stuff as well, which is just like crazy. And I'm like, why would you need a company to promote you if you gotta do the promotion yourself? Like, what are they even doing? Yeah, he has like really interesting videos. I like that he can get technical about stuff, but also, you know, keep it very accessible to someone like me that doesn't understand the lingo. 'Cause if he says, oh, C minor, F minor, whatever, I'm like, I don't know the gibberish you're talking about. Yeah. And it's just horrible, horrible how they treat musicians. And I have to admit that, you know, I'm probably part of the problem. I just don't have the means to buy any music. It's just been like I have no idea of any record stores that I could go to just buy stuff or do anything. Like I keep trying to go to cinemas to films that I feel like they would need the support. So I went and saw films from a cartoon saloon in the cinema just to make sure that I'm doing the best that I can. But if I want to do something similar for a musician, like where the heck do I go? There's just nowhere for me to go and buy the CD. And a lot of these dodgy websites that, you know, sell the music, what guarantee I have that they're even sharing any of the profit with the musician? That's another concern I have. Yeah, coffee is very good for it, for sure. It's the best thing that you can do. I hope one day to be in a position to give. This year's been terrible. And the other ones were not great, and so on and so forth. And just like, when am I gonna have a good year? I haven't had one in, like, I don't even remember. And what's might be sad and scary is that this might be a good year, and the next one that's coming next to be way worse. Tidal has become my main way to music now. They're a good percent of earnings to the artist. Never heard of Tidal. I'll go check it out. If you can leave me a link in the chat, that would be great, so I can open it and just to make sure that I'm on the right website and I don't go anywhere else. It's my alternative to using Spotify. Yeah, for sure. It's hard to see past that. Indeed. There are always those memes online with, oh, you don't know what's going to happen, and then you're an adult and you're like, why did we ever feel concerned and blah blah blah. But I feel like that's a very sheltered American perspective of the people that are doing those memes, and it's just minimizing whatever concerns those people had. And I guess if you're living in a first world situation, then yeah, your concerns might not be that important, or your fears may be unfounded. But if you're living in other places, your fears might just be legitimate trauma. Yeah, it's been such several years of just it's getting close to 6, I think. Yeah, the idea of doing nothing or doing anything is pointless. That's just lazy, stupid excuses. Oh my gosh. And so sorry you had to go for that. Here in Romania, and all the people that I know, it's sort of like we have the saying, all evil towards good. Like the sun will come out at some point, something like that. I guess that will be the sentiment. That yeah, it's sucky now, but it's gotta end at some point, right? Right? I would say that's the general vibe of that saying. Yeah, I don't think Facebook is ever gonna be good or useful ever again. I think it's done and buried at this point. Yeah, I'm not sure what the business model is for Facebook anymore, because they're losing a lot of people. So many people have just given up on Facebook. They've moved to Discord or anything else really, or just Twitter, email. There's so many dead accounts on Facebook. Yeah, I think we're past that. I don't think they're gonna be making any smart choices anytime soon. They're just gonna keep digging themselves up. Until, I don't know, some other company buys them and then makes heavy restructuring and huge overhauls to the whole system. And I don't see anybody buying Facebook. Would be interesting if government started making platforms like these. Like, how would that even look? Netflix is in the dumps as well. It's been prophesized by better, how should I say, economically interested people than me. Or savvy, like, I don't know how to describe it. I guess we'll see. I don't make my living off YouTube or Facebook or anything like that, so I'm not particularly that concerned. I'm sure people that are making a living off of YouTube are. So we'll see how this stuff develops. It's interesting, all the new legislation in the European Union, how that is going to affect stuff. Ah, Lucky movie. Yeah, that one seems interesting. It hasn't come out, so I don't know. Anything from Cartoon Saloon, if you haven't showed them. Do you want to take them to the movies, or do you want to watch it at home? Because then I can recommend you more stuff. Ah, it's on Amazon or Apple. Yeah, I wouldn't give them money if you threaten me with death, I think. It would need to be something extreme for me to want to give them money. Or want is not the right word, I should say, actually. I don't know what would be necessary to convince me to give them anything. So like YouTube movies are pretty good if you can find it at a decent price. I do buy on discount sometimes films there. YouTube movies, and they stay in the library. I'm not able to access it. What? Let me give you the links to the videos I made regarding recommendations, film recommendations, because I've gotten a lot of them from parents like you, and let me show you. So you can just go in this link, and they're themed. Like the obscure ones you're probably not gonna find to buy them anywhere or even pirate them. Depends how skilled you are. I do have them, so I can borrow them to you. Then the top 5 gorgeous animated films. Those, I don't know if they're that interesting for kids. I don't think they'll appreciate it as much. Maybe the Halloween version when it comes out. Now you can see it. For Halloween, I've made lists because it's my favorite holiday. But yeah, you can just look in that list. I have a bunch of stuff there. Like I've seen recently more for adult stuff, but I don't know if you'll have the time. I saw the Sandman series. I saw the First Lady series. That one got cancelled. It was about Michelle Obama, Betty Ford, and Roosevelt. I forget her name. The lesbian lady that was married to Franklin Roosevelt, which was president elected 4 times in the US. Like before Roosevelt, the guy that was president in the US during World War II, nobody had gotten elected 4 times, so they didn't have term limits on their presidency, which is apparently something that neither Hungary has or Italy. So you can be president for life. You just win more and more term limits, like in Russia. And apparently that was a thing in the US. It's just that by custom, they just didn't run again um, more than 2 terms, but Franklin Roosevelt did that. He ran for more than 2 terms. He ran for 4, and he won them. So Congress made an amendment, and now in the U.S. you have presidential term limits. So you can't be president more than 2 times, which is really interesting. Because we in Romania didn't have to go through that. We went from communist dictatorship to presidential democracy, and we just had 2 term limits. The only changes for us have been that from 4 years to 5 years, so our presidents can have a total of 10 years now. And this was the Communist Remnants Zombified Party's idea. They thought they were gonna win the elections, and so they were like, yeah, let's increase the term years. And then they lost the elections. And it's like, karma. I'm really bad at making the feathers on this bird. I'm gonna have to ask June for some help here, because I'm sure she would have some good advice on how to improve this bird, because so far I'm hating how it looks. And I was talking with my friend from Hungary. She was complaining that Orban has won another election, and it's kind of sketchy and dodgy if it was democratic or not. And she was complaining that they do not have term limits. So that's how the search started for me, because I was like, what? You don't have term limits? How do you not have term limits? And then I started googling like what other countries don't have term limits, and I was like, Italy doesn't have term limits. I was like, oh my god. How is that a good idea? So it kind of looks like a puffin penguin thing, not so much a robin, I'm thinking. So I'm probably gonna have to ask June for help. Thanks. Yeah, so many things are wrong with it, but I'm not sure how to improve it without ruining it further. Like changing diapers. Well, some diapers are better than others. Like Pampers is the leading brand in the world for, I think, fair reasons. Also, there's certain tampon brands that I prefer over others. So I'm like, it matters what diapers you're having. If you have bad diapers, things will be so much more worse. Like, when I was born, that was in '89, and they didn't have Pampers. So I actually still caught the era of nappies and safety pins. My siblings had Pampers, like that was, and my parents were like, "Oh my gosh, it's so much easier with Pampers than what we had to go with you." They would have to take the nappies, wash them. You didn't have hot water, and washing machines weren't that easy and available and cheap to come by, and they're not very accessible now either, but it's not as bad. And the washing machines back then weren't great. Like, I remember this square washing machine that was like really bad. It was some communist washing machine, and you loaded it from the top. Funny enough, I now have a square washing machine that you load from the top, but yeah, it was different times. Much more austere, I would say. And technology has advanced a lot, so I'm pretty hopeful that a lot of issues will be cheaper to solve. Like, they keep needing all kinds of technologies for African countries that don't have access to electricity or running water or this or that, and I'm kind of really curious and hopeful to see like what systems come from that we can use and make our lives easier. In other news, seems like the US is gonna fund or help fund, or the European Union with the US. Is not clear to me who exactly is giving all the money. I think it's the European Union, and then the US is giving the know-how. And we're gonna have 12 mini nuclear reactors. It's a new generation of fangled reactors built in Romania to lessen the dependency on gas and oil and things like that. And we do have nuclear power plants, just not enough. And I'm gonna see what happens. We do have hydroelectric dams as well. Canada is financing this project as well in Romania? Or is this like part of a bigger global project? Quebec has an abundance of natural energy. By natural, you mean like solar and wind, or? Because technically coal is natural as well, just maybe it should stay in the ground. Yeah, I mean, hydro has a lot of negative stuff, so it's not clear to me if it's in natural or not, because it damages ecosystems in order to have it. And then some people put it in solar power because water gets there because of the sun. And then other people don't put it in solar. So whenever people speak, I'm like confused. They originally had a contract with a state in the US, but they canceled that. Interesting. Why would they cancel it? I didn't even know there were any rivers going from Canada to the US. Aside from the lakes, I don't think there are any shared waterways between you guys. It was an export through power lines, the extra. That's pretty neat. I think there's like a triangle made between west of England, part of Denmark, and some other country, and there's like this triangle because the winds that blow in the Baltic Sea are very reliable in the cycle that they have, so they like blow one way, then the other, and then the other, so they like put cables in between these three regions, and they can share the electricity. So when it's blowing towards Denmark's gonna share the electricity with England and I think maybe Norway or something, and then when it blows towards England, then England will share the electricity with Denmark and Norway or whatever country it was. Yeah, I think that's pretty nifty too. Not sure how it works or how well they're getting along, but there was this video about it. I'm not even sure if it was completed or if it's just like some idea that they had. I haven't double checked it, and you know how it's like on the internet where stuff is like presented in a way and then you find out, oh wait, yeah, it's not true. It was just something they planned, they didn't actually do it. It's another solar roadway initiative. Ew. But it sounds cool, it sounds doable to my ignorant ears. If that could happen, I think that's really nice. Kind of like the least credible part of this whole story isn't the technical aspect, it's like UK playing along and being nice. Okay, take care, Kirani. Sure. I think I will color that in the back and just kind of draw the lighter flowers. Oh, that was quick. Welcome back. Talk about cooperation. They finally managed to get all of that grain out of Ukraine, and it's gotten into NATO waters, so it's like it's on its way to Africa and wherever else is needed. And like the President Zelensky was talking about how Europe has had pretty crappy harvest this summer, and from what I understand, it hasn't rained enough in Romania either. We've had like very poor melons this year, terrible tomatoes. The corn hasn't done well either, but our grain is fine. So that's a bit concerning, you know. I mean, on top of all of the issues with the low rainfall, like it's not helping. And I don't know what's going on in Romania, but in the part of the country where I live, it's just been terrible potatoes for over 3 years. Very small, very crappy potatoes. I don't know what's going on, but it's very annoying. So much so that I've actually planted a couple of potatoes outside just out of curiosity to see how big they'll get. I'm not watering them too much. I'm not fertilizing them. Just curious of the yield. Because obviously I'm not gonna live off of a couple of potatoes I grow in a container outside. But I'm curious as to what's happening, because I don't think it's the weather or anything like that why we have such terrible potatoes in stores. Like, you cannot find big potatoes in our stores, and I'm like, what the heck's going on here? Are they like selling them off outside, or like what's the scam going on here? Because it's mighty suspicious. Aside from having dry rot, they're also very small. And if you don't use them quickly, they don't store well because it's just so small. And it's very annoying. Yeah, and I've been to a couple of stores in the capital, because I can see why they wouldn't maybe bother shipping quality products where I am, because it's a village. But like, you would expect in the capital city to find potatoes easier. And I can find them at Carrefour, but I don't find big potatoes at Lidl. I don't find big potatoes at all the Carrefours. I don't find at Cora. I don't find at Kaufland. Selling small ones separate from big ones problem was like, that's what they used to feed things. Those are pig potatoes, yeah. But they just become the norm. You can't find big ones. Yeah, I'm really not happy with how this one's going. I don't know. I think I will start over because it might be a lost cause. Let's see. I have been growing a lot of artichokes, sunflowers. Yeah, I know them. I have never tasted those. I'm kind of curious to see how they would taste, if I'm honest. Let's see, opacity. And just get a plant. There's so many things I would like to try, but they're just not available where I am. Yeah, so I'm gonna continue this illustration offline because I'm very hungry now. And try a different technique of drawing lilac, maybe look up some more tutorials. I thought I could do it like just off the top of my head, but aside from a couple of blooms here, I really hate the rest of them. So I'm just not sure how to go forward with it. Also, I'm probably gonna talk to June about helping me out with the birdie. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next live stream, which is probably gonna be next week Saturday night as well. It's just like the best time for me, even though I know it's not for a lot of people. But it's just when I can do it. Thank you, you too. Thank you, you're very kind. I guess as the artist, I'm like always, I can do better. I look at other people and I'm like, I need to know how their secret. Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.